I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land that I'm on at NIDA, the Bidjigal and Gadjigal people of the Eora Nation, and the elders past, present and emerging. I'm going to explain how costume training takes work of the designers and turns it into functioning costumes to be worn in performance by actors. The Bachelor of Fine Arts costume course is a 3-year immersive course that addresses the three-dimensional creation of costumes for theatre, film and events. We train our students in a combination of practical skills and techniques, academic practice and research, and in the management of costume production. Graduates of the course can take their qualifications anywhere, nationally and internationally, into the diverse world that is the costume industry, for an exciting and highly rewarding career. Studies within the course can be broadly broken down into the following categories. The studio subjects in the first 2 years of the course cover the skills and techniques required to become good costume makers. Production work involves collaboration across all Bachelor of Fine Arts courses and involves students from all years working together. Academic studies covers a detailed history of costume over 2 years. The theory of performance styles and research is integrated into all of our projects. Professional practice covers financial structures within the art industry broadly, down to individual taxes and liabilities, as well as self-promotion and copyright. Industry placement brings the knowledge together and helps launch our students into the industry. To go into more detail of these subjects, pattern cutting and draping are both methods of creating patterns for garments, and we use these methods to create historical shapes from Tudor to the 1950s. In the first year, most of these take the form of samples, and in the second year, students undertake complete outfits to fit one another, as is shown in this photo. This includes the corsetry and underpinnings required, and this process involves learning the skills of fitting garments on individuals, essential for making bespoke costumes. Sewing skills and construction techniques are also taught and cover variations in costume making, such as the realism potentially required for historic film, or the robust costumes required for a musical or an opera. Costume makers also need to be able to identify and deal with a diverse range of textiles, such as silk chiffon or PVC, and possibly in the same garment. Tailoring techniques are also studied through samples and the making of menswear under the guidance of our wonderful Italian tailor, John Bastiano. Millinery is taught throughout the 3 years of the course by 2 of the industry's leading milliners, Bronwyn Shooks and Rosie Boylan. The creation of original fabrics through traditional print methods and digital design is taught to create bespoke costumes, as illustrated here. Similarly, traditional leatherwork skills are taught alongside laser cutting, knowledge which can be utilised on leather or fabrics and in many areas of costuming to transform fabrics. Art finishing is a very important element of costume making. With art finishing, we can enhance the fabric through applique, foiling, or a range of dyeing techniques. And aging and distressing is also important to give life to a character and to a costume. Or, in the case on the left here, a ghost death of a ghostly feel. This costume was made for an opera project entitled The Ghost of Versailles, and illustrates ombre dyeing, which is a grading form of dyeing, texturing and thermoplastic moulding for the skeletal elements here. And on the right we see the dishevelled costumes for Waiting for Godot production, which reflects the character's years of living in a barren landscape. The play production program is another vehicle for our students' learning. The entire production process is run as it would be at Sydney Theatre Company or Queensland Theatre Company, and costume students are assigned to a production along with design students. In discussions with the director, the design students produce costume designs, and the costume students realise those costumes for the acting students to wear in performance. This is an example of costume design for the character of Mouldy from Popular Mechanicals, designed by Michael Hankin. And here you can see the illustration that Michael created, and then the finished costume on the right hand side being worn on stage, which was made by our then third year student, Eliza Clark. The third year students also take on the role of costume supervisor on these productions, responsible for realising the designer's vision on time for the performance and within budget, which is no small task. They liaise with technical production students to arrange fittings for the actors. They manage those fittings for all the costumes and every element of the costume in a professional and respectful manner. And they also manage their crew, who consist of first year costume and design students. First year crew help to create the costumes through making, buying, altering garments or from existing stock, as well as working backstage during the performance with dressing, hair, makeup, and doing costume maintenance through the run of the show. In their third year, students undertake a major research project, culminating in the presentation to the school, industry guests, family and friends. Their topics can be anything related to costume that interests them, and can be wide-ranging as a result. We've had students investigate museum display techniques for original costumes, while other students have investigated creature costumes and how to make them. This image shows two works, one from a student who investigated Charles James' original clover dress from the 1950s, and then reworked it with modern techniques of construction. Another student explored the construction techniques using latex fabric and light for a futuristic costume with armour. Industry placements undertaken in the third year is when the students take their knowledge into the industry, and ultimately where they make their connections for the future. Due to their play production experience and their exposure to teachers who work in the industry, this is a fairly seamless transition. Many of our students at the end of their course will be employed or recommended by their placement host. Several of our graduates are still in the UK following their placements there with various costume houses. We have regularly placed students with the Australian Ballet, who now employ upwards of 5 of our graduates. And from last year's cohort, Victoria secured employment on the Marvel movie in the art finishing department, which is currently being made in Sydney. And Steph, through her placement connections, was able to return to her home state of Queensland to work on the set of Baz Mark's Elvis movie. So a career in costume can take you anywhere, as you can see from these examples. There are many roles within the costume industry that our graduates are trained for, and each person finds their own vocation along the way through the course and through their early years of their career. Now, how to apply for the course? Applications can be found on the NIDA website, where you'll find a questionnaire and a garment making project. You are advised to prepare a portfolio as well and other work to discuss at your interview. Interview dates are also posted on the website for you to select. So what are we looking for? We're looking for people who love making things, who have an eye for shape, colour and texture, people who like to problem solve and enjoy working collaboratively. Most of all, you need to be highly motivated. This is not like a normal university. It's a conservatoire model with high contact hours, and we are demanding of our students to reflect the industry. The numbers are small. We accept 6 students on the costume course each year, and everyone is provided with their own workspace and cutting table and sewing machine. This intimacy means a very individualised training, but also there's nowhere to hide. NIDA is a very intimate school, and students whilst here form professional and personal relationships that will stay with them for the rest of their life. Thank you for your interest in the costume course.